Hello, my name is Daniel Marks. I'm a part of the Frederick Douglass Distinguished Scholars Program here from London, and today I'll be talking about the wonderful book I finished reading called The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace, written by Jeff Hobbs, who was Rob's roommate at Yale University. I'm here to talk about my reactions to it and how the book relates to systemic injustices within the United States. To begin, I didn't really know much about the book going into reading it. I read it on the plane ride from Cape Town, South Africa, and immediately I was very captured by his story and how he was overcoming adversity in Newark, New Jersey. The story progressed, and situation after situation, things got worse for him and in his family. So just little things like him having to really be the man of the house from like age 7 when his dad went to prison for alleged murder, even though there wasn't really any evidence that suggested that his father murdered the 2 women. You see Rob dealing with code switching and dealing with going to school, having to come home, having to be very self-sufficient, and dealing with the hood and trying to relate to the people in the community. You see him going to private school, Catholic school, and having to adhere to those rules as well. And throughout his early to mid-childhood, you see him flourish, and they call him the professor, which shows his intelligence and his ability to just be phenomenal. You know, it's really rare to see someone at that age be able to do everything so quickly and to do it well without knowing how well he was doing it. And I think what made me like the book was how poignant it was, and also how truthful it seemed. It really showed his development, especially with him having to, leave the schools that he was going to because his mom couldn't afford to send him there. And then he was very open to change, and he never blamed his parents for his situations. He would just move on and know that he could thrive. And related to some of the questions that our wonderful Stephanie Vella has given us for this prompt, she's asked us, what did you learn from the book that would help you identify systemic barriers with equity and inclusion? I think one of the most obvious barriers is poverty, and how poverty can prevent you from reaching that level that you want to reach. And as I finished the book, I realized another barrier is repeating the cycle. When he went to Yale, I just assumed that things would just, get better and better and better, even though the book's called The Short and Tragic Life. I didn't really think of that because I just kept reading it, and I thought, he's at Yale, things will get better. And, he fell into the trap of drugs and trying to go back to the community, and ultimately that led to his death through really strong weed selling. And it made me very sad because he was studying sciences and he's brilliant. He created his own strand of marijuana, and that takes very strong dedication regardless of someone's stance on marijuana use in the United States. And he did all this very innovative stuff, and had he not been in the poverty of Newark, New Jersey, just imagine what he could have done. And when you think of Robert Peace, there are hundreds upon hundreds of black men in the United States in a similar situation. Had they been given an opportunity to thrive, I'm sure they would have. And it just makes me sad that someone like Robert Peace didn't have the chance to reach his potential because of the situation he was brought up in. It also makes me think of holding yourself accountable. Even though he grew up in Newark, I struggle with understanding how to break the cycle of poverty and drug use and violence, especially when he was so aware of it. I'm definitely not blaming him for his situation. I'm just very cognizant of how do we change the cycle from one step to the next. How do I intend on applying what I've learned from the book? I think the main thing I'd apply is what Jeff Hobbs said in a recent interview that I watched on YouTube. He suggests the first step to advocacy is to let other people know about the issue. So even though I'm in London, I think it would be a fantastic opportunity to share the book with people, to share his story, to share that systemic barriers do exist, not only in the United States, but they also exist in the United Kingdom as well. And I also think it's pertinent to realize that racial injustice is extremely relevant, not only in the United States, but in different places as well. Like in Cape Town, it was prevalent. London, it's prevalent. Just thinking of little microaggressions that might exist and how these microaggressions can potentially hurt the way people of color thrive in academic situations. That's really all I have to say about the book. I think it was extremely well written, and I think it's the best book we've read as a FDDS cohort. So thank you for the opportunity to read it, and until next time, thanks.